Dr. Zane had been living in the small town of Pine Valley for 15 long years. To everyone around him, he looked like any other regular guy. Brown hair, wore simple clothes, and even had a job at the local library. But there was something different about Zane that nobody knew. Wasn't from Earth. Zane came from a planet far away in space. His real job was to watch humans and learn about them. He had to send reports back to his home planet about how humans lived, what they did, and how they acted. For 15 years, he wrote down everything he saw, like he was studying animals in a zoo. Humans were just interesting creatures to him. Nothing more. Every Tuesday morning, Zane would go to the town's only grocery store called Miller's Market. It was a small place where everyone knew everyone. He would buy simple things like bread and milk, always watching people and taking mental notes. The store had old wooden floors that creaked when you walked, and the lights were a bit dim, but it felt warm and friendly. On this particular Tuesday, something happened that would change everything for Zane. He was standing in the cereal aisle, pretending to read the back of a box while actually observing human shopping behavior. That's when he heard a baby crying near the front of the store. Zane walked closer to see what was happening. There was a young woman at the checkout counter with a crying baby in her arms and a small boy standing next to her. The woman looked tired, really tired. Her clothes were clean but old, and she had dark circles under her eyes, like she hadn't slept in days. She was counting coins on the counter one by one. Pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. Her hands were shaking a little as she counted. The baby kept crying, and the little boy was trying to help by patting the baby's back gently. "I'm sorry," the woman said to Mrs. Rodriguez, the elderly cashier. "I thought I had enough money, but I'm coming up short. Maybe I should put back the baby formula." Zane watched this scene with great interest. This was exactly the kind of human behavior he was supposed to study. Humans often struggled with something called money, and they had to make hard choices about what to buy. He started thinking about how he would write this in his report. But then something unexpected happened. Mrs. Rodriguez, who was probably in her 70s, with gray hair and kind eyes, looked at the woman and smiled softly. "Don't worry about it, dear," Mrs. Rodriguez said. She quietly reached into her own purse and pulled out a $20 bill. "This should cover the rest." The young woman's eyes filled with tears. "I can't take your money. That's not right." "Nonsense," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "We all need help sometimes. That's what neighbors are for." Zane stood there, completely confused. Why would one human give their own money to a stranger? This didn't make sense according to his research. Humans were supposed to care mostly about themselves and their own families. This behavior was not logical. The woman took the money with shaking hands. "Thank you so much. I promise I'll pay you back when I get my next paycheck." "No need to pay me back," Mrs. Rodriguez said with a wave of her hand. "Just help someone else when you can." The woman packed her groceries. Her little boy looked around the store. He was maybe 7 years old, with curious eyes and messy hair. The boy's gaze landed on Zane, who was still standing there watching everything happen. The little boy walked over to Zane and tugged on his jacket. "Hey, mister," the boy said in a small voice. "Do you have enough milk for two?" Zane looked down at the child, completely puzzled. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Well, you're standing here looking at everyone, and you look sad like my mom does sometimes. I thought maybe you don't have enough food either. Mom always says we should share when people don't have enough." This simple question from a child hit Zane like a lightning bolt. The boy thought Zane was another struggling person who needed help. Instead of ignoring him or walking away, this child was offering to share what little his family had. For the first time in 15 years of studying humans, Zane felt something strange in his chest. It was warm and uncomfortable at the same time. He didn't know what to call this feeling, but it made him want to help these people instead of just watching them. "I'm okay, Zane," told the boy gently. "But thank you for asking. That was very kind of you." The boy smiled and ran back to his mother, who was now pushing her cart toward the exit. As they walked past Zane, the woman nodded at him politely, and the baby had stopped crying. Zane stood in that grocery store for a long time after they left. His mind was racing with questions that had nothing to do with his research mission. Who was this family? Why did they not have enough money? Where was the boy's father? And most importantly, why did he suddenly care so much about complete strangers? That night, Zane sat in his small apartment trying to write his weekly report to send back to his home planet. But every time he started typing about human behavioral patterns and survival instincts, he kept thinking about the little boy asking if he had enough milk for two. For 15 years, Zane had been watching humans like they were specimens in a lab. He had written hundreds of reports about their habits, their weaknesses, and their simple minds. But today, a 7-year-old child had shown him something that all his advanced alien intelligence couldn't understand: pure kindness without expecting anything in return. Zane realized that maybe he hadn't been studying humans correctly all this time. Maybe he had been too far away, too cold, too much like a scientist looking through a microscope. Maybe to really understand humans, he needed to get closer, much closer. The next Tuesday, instead of just observing from a distance, Zane decided to do something different. He would find that family again and learn more about them. Not for his research, but because something inside him needed to know. They were okay. This decision would change everything for the alien scientist who thought he understood humans, but was about to discover he knew nothing at all about what it meant to be human. The following Tuesday, Zane found himself walking through the automatic doors of Miller's Market again. But this time, it wasn't just for his usual research. His heart was beating faster than normal, which was strange because his alien body rarely showed signs of nervousness. He was looking for the woman and her little boy from last week. He wandered through the aisles pretending to shop. But really he was searching. After 20 minutes, he was about to give up when he heard a familiar voice near the dairy section. "Mommy, can we get the chocolate milk today?" It was the same little boy from before. "Shh, not today, sweetie. We need to stick to our list," came the tired voice of his mother. Zane quietly moved closer and saw them again. The woman was holding the baby, while the boy walked beside her, looking longingly at all the things they couldn't afford. Zane watched as she carefully compared prices on everything, always choosing the cheapest option. When she reached for a bag of rice on the top shelf, Zane saw his chance. He walked over and easily reached the bag for her. "Thank you," she said, with a surprised smile. "I'm Anna, by the way. This is my son Tommy and my baby girl Lucy." "I'm Zane," he replied, feeling awkward about this human custom of introducing themselves. "I saw you here last week. Mrs. Rodriguez was very kind." To you, Anna's cheeks turned a little red. Yes, she was. I'm still amazed by her generosity. There are really good people in this world. Tommy looked up at Zane with recognition. "You're the man I asked about the milk. Did you get enough food this week?" Zane felt that strange warm feeling in his chest. Again, "Yes, I did. Thank you for caring." As they talked, Zane learned more about Anna's life. She worked at a diner downtown from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. Then she rushed home to take care of the baby while Tommy was at school. In the evenings, she worked at a gas station until midnight. Between her 2 jobs, she barely made enough money to pay rent and buy food. "What about Tommy's father?" Zane asked carefully. Anna's face grew sad. "He left when Lucy was born. Said he couldn't handle 2 kids. We haven't heard from him since." Zane felt something he had never experienced before. His advanced alien brain, which could process thousands of calculations per second, suddenly couldn't understand how someone could abandon their own children. On his home planet, family units were sacred and protected by the entire community. "Work really hard," Anna continued, "but sometimes it's just not enough. Like last week with the formula, Lucy needed it. But I had to choose between that and paying the electric bill." Without thinking, Zane reached into his wallet and pulled out a $100 bill. "Please, let me help you." Anna stepped back, shaking her head. "Oh no, I can't take that. You don't even know us." "But I want to help," Zane said, confused by her refusal. On his planet, resources were shared freely among community members. "That's very sweet of you, but we'll be okay." "We always figure something out," Anna said firmly. Tommy tugged on his mother's shirt. "Mom, maybe he wants to be our friend. Friends help each other, right?" Zane looked at the little boy and realized something important. Tommy wasn't asking for charity. He was offering friendship. this was completely different from what Zane had expected. Over the next few weeks, Zane started running into Anna and her kids regularly at the store. Not by accident, though. He pretended it was. He began timing his visits for when he knew they'd be there. Each time, he learned something new about human relationships. He discovered that Anna was studying to become a nurse. She attended classes online late at night after both kids were asleep. She dreamed of having a better life for her children, but it seemed impossible with her current situation. Tommy was incredibly smart for his age. He helped translate for Spanish-speaking customers at the local clinic because he had learned the language from his babysitter. He also helped elderly people in their apartment building carry groceries up the stairs. Baby Lucy was always smiling. Even when she was hungry, she would giggle at the smallest things, like shadows on the wall or the sound of grocery carts rolling by. Zane found himself thinking about this family constantly. His research reports to his home planet became shorter and less detailed. Instead of writing about human weaknesses, he was discovering their incredible strength. One evening, while writing his weekly report, Zane realized he had a problem. His commanders expected him to find human vulnerabilities that could be exploited. They wanted to know about human greed, selfishness, and fear. But all Zane could think about was Mrs. Rodriguez giving her own money to a stranger, Tommy offering to share with someone he thought was hungry, and Anna working 2 jobs while studying to build a better future. These humans weren't weak or selfish. They were surviving impossible situations with grace and kindness. Anna could have been bitter about her life, but instead, she taught her son to help others. Tommy could have been angry about not having a father, but instead he looked out for everyone around him. Zane started using his advanced abilities to help in small ways. His alien physiology meant he didn't need much sleep, so he took a night job at a warehouse. With the extra money, he began accidentally buying too much food and offering it to Anna's family. "I bought too many apples," he would say. "She helped me finish them," and I eventually caught on to what he was doing. But she allowed it because she could see that helping them made Zane happy. She didn't know why this quiet man cared so much about her family, but she was grateful for his friendship. The more time Zane spent with them, the more conflicted he became about his mission. He was supposed to be studying humans as an outside observer, but he was becoming emotionally attached. This wasn't part of the plan. His alien superiors began sending messages asking for more detailed reports about human military capabilities and resource locations. They wanted to know about weaknesses in human society that could be exploited for future colonization. But how could Zane betray Anna, Tommy, and Lucy? How could he provide information that might be used to harm the very people who had shown him what it meant to care about others? For the first time in his life, Dr. Zane was experiencing what humans call a moral dilemma. His loyalty was being torn between his species and his heart was winning. 3 months had passed since Zane first met Anna and her children at Miller's Market. What started as simple observations had turned into something much deeper. He found himself caring about their daily struggles more than his own secret mission. Then, everything changed in one terrible week. It started on a Monday morning when Zane received an urgent message on his hidden alien communication device. The message was from Commander Vex, his superior back on the home planet. The holographic image of Vex appeared in Zane's apartment, looking stern and impatient. "Agent Zane, your reports have become inadequate," Vex said in their native language. "We need detailed information about human military installations, government weaknesses, and resource locations. The High Council has decided to move forward with Phase 2 of the colonization plan. You have 30 Earth days to provide complete intelligence, or we will send a replacement." Zane's blood ran cold. Phase 2 meant his people were preparing to invade Earth. All his research was supposed to help them take over the planet. Humans he had grown to care about would become slaves, or worse. "Commander, perhaps we should reconsider," Zane said carefully. "Humans are more complex than we initially thought. They have qualities that might make them valuable allies instead of conquered subjects." Vex's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Sound emotionally compromised, Agent. Remember your duty to our species. 30 days. Do not disappoint the High Council." The communication ended, leaving Zane alone with his racing thoughts. How could he betray the people who had shown him kindness? How could he provide information that would destroy Anna, Tommy, Lucy, and everyone else in Pine Valley? As if the universe wanted to test him further, that same week brought devastating news about Anna's family. Zane was at the grocery store when he overheard Anna talking frantically on her phone near the produce section. Her voice was shaking, and she looked like she might cry. "What do you mean we have to move out in 2 weeks?" Anna was saying. "I paid the rent last month. There must be some mistake." Zane pretended to examine the apples while listening. Anna's landlord was selling the apartment building, and all tenants had to leave immediately. Anna had been looking for a new place to live, but everything in town was too expensive for her budget. When Anna hung up the phone, Zane approached her carefully. "Is everything okay?" Anna wiped her eyes quickly. "Hi, Zane. Yes, everything's fine. Just some housing issues." But Zane could see she was lying. Her hands were trembling and she looked exhausted. "Maybe I can help somehow." "You're sweet, but this is something I need to figure out myself," Anna said with a forced smile. Later that day, Zane used his advanced alien technology to research housing options in Pine Valley. The news wasn't good. There were only 3 available apartments, and they all cost twice what Anna was currently paying. With her 2 jobs, she still wouldn't make enough money to afford any of them. The situation got worse on Wednesday. Tommy came to school with a fever and was sent home. Anna had to leave her morning job at the diner to take care of him. When she brought Tommy to the local clinic, Dr. Peterson ran some tests and discovered something concerning. Zane learned about Tommy's condition when he ran into them at the pharmacy. Tommy needed expensive medication for a rare blood disorder. Without treatment, he could become very sick. The medicine cost $300 per month, and Anna's insurance wouldn't cover it. The good news is that with proper treatment, Tommy will be perfectly fine, Dr. Peterson had told Anna. "But you'll need to start the medication immediately." Anna stared at the prescription bottle like it was a puzzle she couldn't solve. $300 might as well have been $3 million for someone in her situation. That night, Zane couldn't sleep. He had the power to solve all of Anna's problems easily. His alien technology could create money, find housing, or even cure Tommy's condition completely. But using his abilities would expose his true identity and ruin his mission. Or would it? An idea began forming in Zane's mind. What if he could help Anna's family without revealing his secret? What if he could organize the entire town to help them? Zane had spent months observing the people of Pine Valley. He knew their habits, their personalities, and their connections to each other. Mrs. Rodriguez at the grocery store was always helping people. Mr. Chen, who owned the bakery, donated leftover bread to the food bank every week. The retired teacher, Mrs. Johnson, organized community events. Principal Davis at Tommy's school cared deeply about his students. These people had good hearts. They just needed someone to bring them together for a common cause. Zane started his plan. On Thursday morning, he visited Mrs. Rodriguez first. "I've been thinking about Anna and her children," he told her. "They're facing some difficult times, and I wondered if there was something the community could do to help." Mrs. Rodriguez's eyes lit up. "That poor girl works so hard. What kind of help do they need?" "Housing and medical expenses for Tommy," Zane explained. "I was thinking maybe we could organize some kind of community event to raise money." "That's a wonderful idea. I know just the people to talk to." Next, Zane visited Mr. Chen at the bakery. "Mrs. Rodriguez and I were discussing ways to help the Martinez family," he said, using the fake last name he had given Anna to protect her privacy. "Would you be interested in participating?" Mr. Chen immediately agreed to donate baked goods for any fundraising event. By Friday, word had spread throughout Pine Valley. Mrs. Johnson suggested a community talent show at the school gymnasium. Principal Davis offered to host it for free. The local mechanic, Mr. Torres, said he would donate his services for a car maintenance auction. Even the teenagers at the high school wanted to help by organizing a car wash. Zane watched in amazement as the entire town came together without any prompting from him. He had simply planted a seed, and the community's natural kindness did the rest. But Anna didn't know about any of this yet. She was too busy working extra shifts and searching for apartments to notice the buzz of activity around town. On Saturday morning, Mrs. Rodriguez approached Anna at the grocery store. "Anna, dear, I hope you don't mind, but some of us in town have been talking. We'd like to organize a little community event to help with your current situation." Anna's face turned red. "Oh no, I couldn't ask people to do that. We'll be fine on our own." "You're not asking," Mrs. Rodriguez said with a warm smile. "We're offering. That's what neighbors do for each other." Tommy, who was feeling better after a few days of rest, tugged on his mother's sleeve. "Mom, remember what you always tell me? Sometimes we need to let people help us so they can feel good about being kind." Anna looked down at her wise little boy and realized he was right. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford when her children's welfare was at stake. As Zane watched this conversation from across the store, he felt something he had never experienced before. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just observing human behavior. He was part of a community working together toward a common goal. But his satisfaction was mixed with dread. In 3 weeks, he would have to choose between betraying these wonderful people or defying his own species. Either choice would change his life forever. The community talent show was scheduled for Saturday night, just 2 weeks before Zane's deadline to report back to his alien commanders. The entire town was buzzing with excitement about the event. People were practicing their acts, donating items for the silent auction, and spreading the word to neighboring towns. But Zane was running out of time in more ways than one. On Wednesday evening, he received another urgent message from Commander Vex. This time the holographic image looked even more threatening than before. "Agent Zane, we have detected unusual energy patterns from your location. Your emotional readings are off the charts. Are you compromised?" Vex demanded. Zane tried to keep his voice steady. "No, Commander. I'm simply conducting deeper research to provide better intelligence. The High Council is losing patience. Need those military installation locations and government weaknesses immediately. If you cannot complete this mission, we will send Agent Crix to replace you. Unlike you, Crix has no problem with collateral damage during information gathering." Threat was clear. Agent Crix was known for his brutal methods. If Crix came to Earth, innocent people would get hurt or worse. Zane had to make a decision soon. After the communication ended, Zane sat in his apartment staring at the walls. He had been living among humans for so long that his small apartment actually felt like home now. He had pictures of Anna, Tommy, and Lucy on his refrigerator. Tommy had drawn him a picture of their family that included Zane standing next to them, all smiling under a bright yellow sun. The next morning, Zane went to Miller's Market as usual. He found Anna in the baby food aisle, looking at prices with a calculator in her hand. She looked more tired than usual, and Zane noticed she had lost weight. "How are the preparations for the talent show going?" Zane asked, trying to sound casual. Anna managed a weak smile. "Everyone's been so kind. I still can't believe the whole town wants to help us. Mrs. Rodriguez organized a bake sale. Mr. Chen is donating all the refreshments, and even the high. School kids are putting together a dance routine. It's wonderful," Zane said, but he could see something was bothering her. "It is wonderful, but I feel terrible about it too," Anna admitted. "All these people are working so hard for us, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to pay them back. What if the money isn't enough? What if we still can't afford Tommy's medicine or find a place to live?" Zane wanted to tell her that everything would be okay, that he could solve all her problems with his alien technology. But he couldn't reveal his secret without putting everyone in danger. That afternoon, something happened that changed everything. Zane was helping Tommy with his homework at Anna's apartment while she was at work. Lucy was napping in her crib, and the apartment was quiet except for the sound of Tommy's pencil on paper. Tommy suddenly looked up from his math problems and stared at Zane with those curious eyes that saw everything. "Zane, can I ask you something personal?" Tommy said. "Sure, buddy. What's on your mind?" "Well, I've been thinking about you a lot lately. You're always around to help us, but I never see you eat anything. You never seem tired, even when it's really late. Sometimes when you think nobody's looking, your eyes look really sad, like you're missing something important." Zane felt his heart start beating faster. "What do you mean?" Tommy put down his pencil and looked directly at Zane. "Are you hiding something from us?" It's okay if you are. We all have secrets sometimes. But I want you to know that whatever it is, we still care about you." The simple honesty in Tommy's voice broke something inside. Zane, this 8-year-old boy, was offering him unconditional acceptance, even knowing that Zane was keeping secrets from them. "Tommy, what if I told you something that seemed impossible? Something that might scare you?" Tommy thought about this seriously. "When my dad left, Mom told me that sometimes people leave because they're scared of things they don't understand. But she also said that the people who really love you will stay, even when things get scary or confusing." Zane realized that Tommy was giving him permission to be honest. This child, who had already been abandoned by one important person in his life, was brave enough to risk being hurt again. "Tommy, I need to tell you something about myself. But first, can you promise me that you'll listen to the whole story before you decide how you feel about it?" Tommy nodded seriously. "I promise." Zane took a deep breath. "I'm not from Earth." "Tommy, I'm from a planet very far away. Came here to study humans, but I ended up caring about your family more than I ever expected." Tommy's eyes went wide, but he didn't run away or scream. Instead, he asked, "Are you a good alien or a bad alien?" The question was so innocent and direct that Zane almost laughed. "I think I'm a good alien, but my people might not be. They sent me here to learn about humans so they could take over your planet. But you don't want them to. Do that, do you?" Tommy asked. "No, I don't. Your family taught me that humans aren't just interesting creatures to study. You're people with feelings and dreams, and the ability to love each other in ways my species has forgotten." Tommy was quiet for a moment, processing this information. Then he asked, "Does this mean you're going to have to leave us like my dad?" Did the pain in Tommy's voice hit Zane like a physical blow? "I don't want to leave you, but my commanders are expecting me to report back soon. If I don't give them what they want, they'll send someone else who might hurt people." "What if you told them that Earth isn't worth taking over?" Tommy suggested. "What if you told them we're too strong or too dangerous?" Zane smiled at the boy's creative thinking. "That's actually not a bad idea, Tommy." Just then, they heard Anna's key in the door. She came home from work looking exhausted, but managed to smile when she saw them. "How was homework today?" she asked, ruffling Tommy's hair. Tommy looked at Zane, then back at his mother. "Mom, Zane has something important to tell you." Anna sat down at the kitchen table, sensing something serious was happening. "What's going on, Zane?" Knew there was no going back now. "Anna, I need to tell you the truth about who I am." For the next hour, Zane explained everything. His real identity, his mission, the threat to Earth, and his growing love for their family. He expected Anna to be angry, scared, or disbelieving. Instead, Anna listened quietly until he finished. Then she said, "I wondered why you always seem so different from everyone else. You watch people like you're trying to figure out some puzzle, and you're always surprised when people are kind to each other. You're not afraid of me?" Zane asked. Anna looked at Tommy, who nodded encouragingly. "Zane, I've been afraid of a lot of things lately. Afraid we'd end up homeless. Afraid Tommy would get sicker. Afraid I'd fail as a mother. But I'm not afraid of you. You've done nothing but help us since the day we met." "But I'm an alien," Zane said, still amazed by their acceptance. "So what?" Tommy said with a shrug. "You're still the same person who helped us carry groceries and taught me how to do long division. Being from space doesn't change that." Lucy woke up from her nap and started making happy baby sounds from her crib. Anna went to pick her up, and Lucy immediately reached for Zane like she always did. The baby didn't care where Zane came from. She just knew he was someone who loved her. As Zane held Lucy and watched Anna and Tommy accept him completely, he realized that his research had been wrong from the very beginning. He hadn't been studying human nature at all. He had been discovering it by becoming part of it. But now he had less than 2 weeks to figure out how to protect the people he loved from his own species. The hardest part of his mission was just beginning. Saturday night arrived faster than Zane wanted. The Pine Valley Community Center was packed with people from all over town. Colorful streamers hung from the ceiling, and the smell of Mr. Chen's fresh-baked goods filled the air. Children ran around excitedly while their parents set up folding chairs and arranged donated items for the silent auction. Zane stood near the back of the room, watching the organized chaos with mixed emotions. In just 1 week, he would have to give his final report to Commander Vex. But tonight, he was surrounded by people who had come together to help a struggling family they barely knew. Anna sat in the front row with Tommy and baby Lucy. She looked overwhelmed by all the attention and support. People kept approaching her throughout the evening, offering encouragement and sharing their own stories of hard times when the community had helped them too. "This is what we do here," Mrs. Rodriguez told Anna during intermission. "When one of us is struggling, we all struggle together. And when one of us succeeds, we all celebrate together." The talent show was amazing. Mrs. Johnson played piano while her grandson sang. The high school students performed a dance routine they had practiced. For weeks, Mr. Torres surprised everyone by juggling wrenches from his auto shop. Even shy little Amy from Tommy's class got up and recited a poem about friendship. But the most touching moment came when Tommy himself took the stage. "I want to thank everyone for helping my family," Tommy said into the microphone, his voice shaking a little with nervousness. "My mom always tells me that when people are kind to you, you should pass that kindness on to someone else. So I promise that when I grow up, I'll help other families the way you've helped us." The entire room erupted in applause. Zane felt tears in his eyes, which was strange because his alien physiology wasn't supposed to produce tears. But apparently, spending time with humans had changed him in ways he didn't fully understand. By the end of the evening, the community had raised enough money to cover Tommy's medicine for 6 months and Anna's deposit on a new apartment. People had also offered practical help, like free babysitting, tutoring for Tommy, and even a better job opportunity for Anna at the local hospital. As people started cleaning up, Zane helped stack chairs and take down decorations. He felt like he was moving in slow motion, trying to memorize every detail of this perfect evening. "Thank you," Anna said, appearing beside him with Lucy sleeping in her arms. "I know you organized all of this, even though you pretended it was everyone else's idea." "The kindness was already here," Zane replied. "I just helped people find each other." "That's exactly what I mean," Anna said with a smile. "You see the best in people, even when they don't see it in themselves." Later that night, after everyone had gone home, Zane sat in his apartment staring at his communication device. He had to send his final report to Commander Vex within the week. But what could he possibly say? He thought about everything he had learned during his time on Earth. Humans weren't the weak, selfish creatures as people believed them to be. They were complex beings capable of incredible sacrifice and love. They worked together to solve problems. They cared for strangers. And they found hope even in difficult situations. But how could he explain that to his commanders without sounding like he had lost his mind? Zane spent the next 3 days writing and rewriting his report. He knew that whatever he wrote would determine the fate of Earth and everyone he had come to love. On Wednesday morning, he made his decision. Zane activated his communication device and sent a detailed report to the High Council. But it wasn't the report they were expecting. Instead of military weaknesses and resource locations, Zane sent a comprehensive analysis of human strengths that made them unsuitable for colonization. He wrote about their ability to organize and work together under pressure. He documented their fierce loyalty to their communities and their willingness to fight for what they believed in. He described their technological adaptability. He explained how they turned scarcity into innovation and how they built strong alliances even with former enemies. But most importantly, Zane wrote about something his species had lost long ago: the human capacity for emotional growth and change. Humans possess a quality that makes them extremely dangerous to any occupying force, Zane wrote in his report. They have the ability to transform enemies into allies through acts of kindness and inclusion. Any species that attempts to conquer them will eventually be absorbed into their culture, rather than the other way around. He concluded his report with a recommendation that Earth be classified as a protected zone. It's too risky for colonization attempts, within hours. He received a response from Commander Vex. The holographic image looked furious. "Agent Zane, this report is unacceptable. The High Council believes you have been compromised by prolonged exposure to human emotions. You are hereby ordered to return immediately for mental reconditioning. Zane took a deep breath. I respectfully decline that order, Commander. You cannot decline a direct order from the High Council. I can, and I do, Zane said calmly. I'm resigning my commission and requesting asylum on Earth. Vex's image flickered with rage. If you do not return voluntarily, you will be classified as a traitor. You will never be allowed to return home. This is my home now, Zane replied. The communication ended abruptly, leaving Zane alone with his decision. He had just cut all ties with his own species to protect his adopted human family. But he didn't regret it for a second. The next morning, Zane went to the courthouse in the next town over. Using his advanced technology one last time, he created perfect documentation that would allow him to legally exist as a human citizen. He changed his last name to Martinez and filed papers to become Tommy and Lucy's legal guardian. When he returned to Pine Valley, he went straight to Anna's new apartment. She answered the door with flour in her hair and a big smile on her face. I was just making cookies with the kids, she said. What's that stack of papers you're carrying? Adoption papers, Zane said simply. If you'll have me, I'd like to officially become part of this family. Anna's eyes filled with tears. Are you sure? This means you can never go back to your old life. I'm not going back, Zane said. This is where I belong. Tommy came running to the door with cookie dough on his hands. Does this mean you're going to be our dad now? If that's okay with you, Zane said. Tommy threw his arms around Zane's waist. I always wanted a dad who thought Earth was worth staying for. 6 months later, Zane opened a small electronics repair shop in downtown Pine Valley. He used his advanced knowledge to fix everything from smartphones to refrigerators, quickly becoming the most trusted repair person in 3 counties. Anna graduated from nursing school and got a job at Pine Valley General Hospital. Tommy's health improved completely with proper medication. And he started helping at Zane's shop after school, showing a natural talent for understanding how things worked. Lucy took her first steps in Zane's shop, walking from Anna's arms to his with a huge smile on her face. On the first anniversary of the community talent show, the town organized another event to celebrate how much their lives had improved. As Zane watched his neighbors laughing and working together, he thought about the question that had started it all.
How?
Do you have enough milk for 2? Tommy had been asking if Zane had enough resources to share. But what Zane discovered was that love, unlike milk or money, actually multiplies when you share it. The more he gave to his human family, the more he received in return in his final personal log, which he kept hidden in his shop. Zane wrote, I came to Earth to study human weaknesses, but I discovered their greatest strength instead. Humans have the ability to create families, not just through blood, but through choice. They showed me that home isn't a place you're born, but a place where you decide to stay. He looked out the window of his shop at Tommy and Lucy playing in the small garden behind their house, while Anna hung laundry on the line. This ordinary scene was more beautiful to him than all the advanced technology on his home planet. Zane had learned that the most important scientific discovery wasn't about distant stars or alien civilizations. It was about the incredible power of belonging somewhere and being needed by the people you love. Sometimes the greatest adventures happen not when you travel to new worlds, but when you finally find your way home.